Benissimo, direi che possiamo partire. Allora, innanzitutto direi di partire con le presentazioni. Io sono Lorenzo, sono Sales e Marketing Specialist per Biogenetics Diagnostics, sono una new entry in azienda e oggi presenterò io la prima parte di questo webinar dedicato all'impatto sul monitoraggio ambientale nelle industrie farmaceutiche da parte dell'aggiornamento del documento Annex 1. Allora. Continuiamo con una presentazione velocissima di Biogenetics Diagnostics, per chi non avesse idea di chi siamo. Allora, Biogenetics Diagnostics è un'azienda radicata sul territorio italiano che distribuisce prodotti diagnostici per microbiologia in vari ambiti, dal farmaceutico all'agroalimentare al clinico e anche altri. Vantiamo un grande elenco di collaborazioni con aziende da tutto il mondo, tra cui anche Microbiologics, che oggi presenterà insieme a noi la seconda parte del webinar. Ecco qui. La nostra offerta, diciamo che quello di cui ci occupiamo più che altro, essendo dei distributori, è sempre l'attenzione ai nostri clienti, quindi ci riusciamo grazie alla nostra rete commerciale attenta e preparata, presente sia sul territorio italiano che in sede, e uno stock di prodotti sempre presente nel nostro magazzino di Padova, che ci permette di garantire le consegne rapide, sempre in base alle richieste dei nostri clienti. Benissimo, le presentazioni sono state fatte, direi che possiamo partire con quello per cui tutti siamo qui. Allora, iniziamo con l'introduzione al documento. Il documento di per sé è un volume che si chiama Lex, come potete leggere lì, il Medicinal Products for Human and Veterinary Use Good Manufacturing Practice. GMP sta per le norme di buona fabbricazione. L'Annex 1 che presentiamo oggi è stato pubblicato nell'agosto 2022 ed entrerà effettivamente in vigore il 25 agosto 2023. L'Annex 1 è solo un allegato del volume e questo allegato si occupa delle linee guida per minimizzare il rischio di contaminazione durante la produzione e la lavorazione dei prodotti sterili. Quindi sostanzialmente noi ci occuperemo o meglio, io mi occuperò di farvi un'introduzione a questo documento parlando di tutto quello che c'è dentro, cercando di stare in tempi ragionevoli, e poi quello che seguirà dopo ve lo dico più avanti. Allora, partiamo dal contenuto. Il documento si divide in 10 sezioni che coprono tutti gli aspetti relativi alla produzione. Noi sostanzialmente abbiamo diviso questo documento in questi tre ambiti, per renderlo un po' più fruibile quello che viene scritto all'interno, perché è molto complicato da seguire tutto quanto. E questi tre ambiti corrispondono alle principali cause di contaminazione negli ambienti di lavoro. Quindi partiamo subito. Allora, la prima sezione che abbiamo utilizzato per spiegare. Un attimo solo, ecco qua. La prima sezione è la sezione dell'ambiente, è quella che occupa la maggior parte del documento e si basa tutto quanto sulla divisione dell'area produttiva in zone con progressivo aumento dei controlli, sia dal punto di vista della qualità dell'aria, sia del monitoraggio ambientale. Ormai è stato adottato questo formato a cipolla delle camere bianche, sostanzialmente con controlli sempre più stringenti man mano che ci si avvicina verso il centro, quindi la zona selezionata come A. Ehm, Questa sezione si occupa della progettazione degli impianti, del layout delle aree di produzione, dei flussi di personali tra un'area e l'altra, della pulizia e della manutenzione delle aree stesse. Si passa poi alle sezioni dedicate al personale. Mentre prima si parlava solo di formazione dal punto di vista del training lavorativo, vengono aggiunti anche delle norme relative al comportamento da tenere all'interno delle camere bianche e non solo. ma anche sull'abbigliamento e sull'igiene. Vengono aggiunte indicazioni sul layout degli spogliatoi e dei corridoi, oltre che del riadattamento del POS, il piano operativo di sicurezza, per adeguarsi alle norme in corso. L'ultima sezione è quella dedicata al processo produttivo, quindi strumentazioni e materiali. Gli aspetti legati al processo produttivo tengono conto sostanzialmente delle nuove tecnologie che vengono immesse sul mercato e danno una particolare attenzione ai separatori moduli flussati o impianti flussati. Chiaramente la parte più importante di questa sezione è l'implementazione dei RAPS, ovvero i sistemi di barriera d'accesso limitato, come si possono vedere nell'immagine, e la manipolazione dei materiali, oltre che lo stoccaggio e il contenimento. Questo è sostanzialmente il focus dell'intero documento. Chiaramente qui ho dovuto restringere di molto i contenuti, ma questo è quello di cui si occupa. Il focus principale dell'intero documento l'ho riempito slide, ovvero i concetti principali. Chiaramente la parte più importante rimane questa divisione in aree del processo produttivo, ABCD, come abbiamo già detto, e come viene realizzata questa divisione grazie al controllo del flusso dell'aria. Ora, il controllo del flusso dell'aria viene sostanzialmente citato all'interno di tutto il documento e si realizza tramite gli airlock, ovvero le chiuse d'aria per evitare le contaminazioni che possono avvenire tra un ambiente e l'altro, specialmente verso le aree più centrali della Camera Bianca, tramite il processo di pressure cascade, che è sostanzialmente il processo per il quale l'aria passa da aree a maggior pressione, che sono quelle chiaramente che hanno bisogno di un controllo più stringente sulle contaminazioni, a quelle, quindi quelle più interne, a quelle più esterne a pressione inferiore. Questo riduce di molto il rischio della contaminazione sia diretta sia incrociata. Infine, sempre all'interno delle sezioni dedicate al controllo del flusso dell'aria, si parla delle diluizione dei contaminanti e viene fatto un'analisi sui due tipi di flusso, il flusso laminare contro il flusso turbolento, a seconda delle dimensioni, della forma, della quantità di aria che viene immessa all'interno del locale ed è tutto in realtà. Poi le ultime tre parti sono quelle di cui si occuperà più nel dettaglio il nostro collaboratore di Microbiologics, che mi appresto a presentarvi. Allora, il nostro collaboratore che oggi ci esporrà la sua parte di presentazione è Brice Lanthomme, che è il Technical Support Specialist per Microbiologics, sezione Europa. E ha più di 15 anni di esperienza nel campo della microbiologia e quindi io lascerei a lui la parola. Allora, innanzitutto interrompiamo la nostra presentazione. Okay. So, Brice, I leave you the floor.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Lorenzo. Good
Thank
afternoon,
you.
everyone. And thank you, Francesco, Lorenzo, for inviting me and to give me the opportunity to speak today. So I'm the technical support specialist at Microbiologics. And today we will see together the growth promotion testing, environmental isolates, and the objectionable organism in pharma industries. So first, I will give you some reminder about the growth promotion testing. Then we will see the growth promotion testing and environmental isolates. And then I will show you some offer that we have at Microbiologics. Just, yes. So let's start with the growth promotion testing. So we know that GPT is very, very critical for QC processing, especially for you, because we know that if there is a contamination, it can lead to damage equipment, may lead to a production downtime. So maybe you have to investigate, it's very time consuming. Maybe it can have an impact on the products, so with physical changes, gaze, odor, or flavor. And in the worst case, to lead to illness, recalls, and lawsuits. And on the slide, you can see the number of recalls, so more and more recalls. And we know that may impact the image of the company. So what is GPT? I think you all know the GPT. The purpose is to determine the suitability of the culture media and to check the batch-to-batch consistency. So the culture medium will be challenged with a small number of microorganisms to assure the nutritive properties. You know that this test is described in different chapters of the pharmacopoeia for sterile and non-sterile products. And there was an harmonization between the different pharmacopoeia for European pharmacopoeia, American pharmacopoeia, and the Japanese one. If we look at the pharmacopoeia, so for the pharmaceutical manufacturing, if you manufacture non-sterile products with a multi-use such as solutions, suspensions, creams, capsules, or tablets, you will have to follow the chapter 61, 62, and 51 in the USP. And if you manufacture sterile products in this for single use, such as injections and infusions, you will have to follow the chapter 71. So finally, we have 4 different chapters, 3 for the non-sterile product and 1 for the sterile products. They all differ in the different type of media used, but finally, eventually they contain the same 3 important tests. If we have to summarize the 4 rules for the GPT, the first one is to test each new batch of media. And when we say each new batch, it's not only the lot written on the packaging, but you have to think what may happen during the shipment. For example, what may happen between the culture media manufacturer and your own lab. So imagine if there is a heat wave and with high temperature and the culture media stay in the parking, in the truck, and maybe it will have an impact on the performances of the culture media. So that's why it's recommended to test each new batch, including each new shipment. Then the second rule is to inoculate the culture media with a small number of microorganisms. When we say small, it's no more than 100 CFU, so less than CFU. It's just to check that the culture media is able to detect a small quantity. Imagine there is only 1 microorganism, and we'll be able to detect it if it gives 1 colony to see this colony to avoid any source of contamination. The third rule is to use microorganisms with less than 5 passages. You know, the passage, it's every time you will subculture a strain on a fresh medium. And we know that it may have a risk of mutation for the strain after many passages, and also maybe a risk of contamination. So that's why it's broadly accepted and validated that we do not have to exceed 5 passages. So ATCC recommends 5 passages, and it's also written in the regulations and standards. And the last rule is to use, of course, microorganisms listed in the pharmacopoeia. Here you have all the microorganisms. So depending if you are manufacturing sterile and non-sterile products. The first for the USP 61 or chapter 2612 in the European Pharmacopoeia, the microbial enumeration test. So this one is for the non-selective media. So you can see the list for the Staph aureus ATCC 6538, Pseudomonas aeruginosa, E. coli, Bacillus subtilis, Candida albicans, and Aspergillus brasiliensis. According to the USP 62 or Chapter 2613 from European Pharmacopoeia, so specified microorganism, this is for the selective media. We retrieve almost the same, but we have also Salmonella typhimurium and Clostridium sporogenes. And with the USP 71 or the Chapter 261 from the European Pharmacopoeia for the sterility test, it's a mix of all the microorganisms. If we go further in details for the microbial enumeration test, so for the non-selective media, it's clearly written that for solid media, growth obtained must not differ by a factor greater than 2 from the calculated value for a standardized inoculum. But how do you have to interpret this? What does it mean? If we take an example, it means that first we will compare the number of colonies between the previously approved medium and the new medium, the new batch of the medium. And the number must be within a factor of 2. On the picture here, you can see, so on the left, the previously approved medium, and on the right, the new medium. If we obtain a count of 40 colonies with the previously approved medium, we are allowed to obtain a number between 20 and 80 with the new batch of the medium. With the selective media, so the test for the specified microorganism, we have different criteria. Here, there is no factor 2. I know that sometimes it's confusing, but for the selective media, there is no factor 2 to apply. It's only for the selective media. So no strict requirement was given for this because this is a qualitative test, and you can define the comparability criterion yourself because it's clearly written that clearly visible growth of the microorganism comparable to that previously obtained with a previously tested and approved batch of medium occurs. So for example, it could be the colony size at the shortest incubation time prescribed. For the broth, so here we will compare the turbidity between the previously approved batch and the new batch of the medium. And this turbidity should be comparable. And we can see on the picture on the left, so you can work and compare the different broth. You can work in duplicate, and also it's recommended to inoculate some control plates in parallel just to be sure and to have an idea of the number of the inoculum, what's the number of colonies inoculated. I would recommend to say that testing in parallel will save you time and efforts because if you test in parallel, the only variable in the lab will be the culture media, and it will be faster for you to troubleshoot in case of any issue. Because if we consider that the old batch and new batch, the counts is in the range, is okay. If the count is too low with the new batch comparing to the old batch, it means that there is something wrong with the new batch. New batch may be non-compliant. If the count is too low with the old batch, but okay with the new batch, maybe there was something wrong with the storage of the previously approved batch or with the shelf life of the culture media. And if the count is too low with both the previously approved batch and the new batch, in this case, we have to investigate more and look at the operator, incubator, the strain, the techniques, and yeah, try to investigate and to find the origin of the issue. So that's why the best practice is really to have a side-by-side testing with only one variable the culture media and try to eliminate other variables such as temperature, atmosphere, operator, method, and incubation time. So that's why at Microbiologics, we design specific product for the growth promotion testing. We have easy AccuShot, easy CFU, and easy CFU one step. Just a few words about easy AccuShot. This is the most popular product for the growth promotion testing. So in the kit, you will find the lyophilized pellet of the microorganism and the hydration fluid. So it's very easy to use, very convenient, because you have just to add the pellet in the hydration fluid, you mix, and then directly you can inoculate the plate. It's a new generation of product because the pellets are instant dissolve. So there is no extra step, additional step. There is no warming, pre-warming, or dilution. It's very, very, very simple to use and quick. And for information, once you resuspending the pellet in the hydration fluid, you have 8 hours stability. So if you keep the suspension in the fridge, I will say you can use it during the day. And it's very convenient because directly, if you inoculate 0.1 milliliter on the plate, you will automatically deliver a quantity between 10 and 100 CFU. Also, it's very convenient because for these products, the shipment is at room temperature. So there is no extra cost for the shipment. And for you in your lab, the storage is in the fridge between 2 and 8 degrees. In the kit, as I said, there are 5 individual pellets in plastic vial and 5 vials of hydration fluid. You can realize 10 tests per vial, so you can realize 50 tests per kit. So indeed, in each hydration fluid tube vial, you have 1.2 milliliter, so you can realize 10, 11 tests per vial with an inoculum of 0.1 milliliter. Just a short video to show you how easy it used to easy AccuShot. So in the kit, you have the instructions for use, the single microorganisms, the hydration fluid, labels. So first, you have to allow to equilibrate to room temperature at least about 30 minutes. Then you open the foil, remove the tube with the lyophilized pellet. Then you add the pellet in the hydration fluid. So no need to have a pre-warming or warming. You have just to add the pellet, to shake vigorously with the vortex, for example. And then directly you can inoculate the plate with 0.1 milliliter. And automatically you will obtain between 10 and 100 CFU per plate. Then you can use the spreader. And after incubation, here are the results. So let's continue now with the growth promotion testing and environmental isolates. What is an environmental isolate? It refers to cultures of microorganisms that have been recovered from the environment. It may be isolated from processing or manufacturing environments, or recovered from the environment utility system or microbial assay. The source of contamination are various. It may come from water or from the biofilms, personnel, operator, technicians, the raw materials itself, the finished products, from the air, humidity, surfaces, containers, and pests. If we look at the environmental monitoring and the regulations, we can say that environmental monitoring doesn't stop at detection. Regulation and standards are somewhat limited on guidance from the proper use of environmental isolates, but it's true that pharma auditors and regulators are increasingly issuing observations related to the use of environmental isolate in the QC testing. And we can say that there is a clear expectation to use environmental isolates in some microbiology lab testing applications. Let's have a look at the key regulation and standards with the environmental monitoring. If we look at the USP, Chapter 1116, the microbiological control and monitoring of aseptic processing environment, it states that to demonstrate that media used in the microbiological environmental monitoring program or in media field runs are capable of supporting growth of indicator microorganisms and of environmental isolate. If we look at the USP Chapter 1072, disinfectants and antiseptic states, it states, frequently isolated microorganisms from an environmental monitoring program may be periodically tested with the agents used in the disinfection program. In the USP Chapter 1117, microbiological-based laboratory practice, it states that microorganisms used in growth promotion testing may be based on the manufacturer's recommendation for a particular medium or may include representative environmental isolates. And in the FDA guidance from 2004, quality control laboratories are expected to determine if compounded organisms sufficiently represent production-related isolate and should suggest adding in-house isolate to the growth promotion challenge if needed. That's why also if we look at the FDA observations and warning letters, so we have one from April 2010. It's written that the firm does not test TSA during growth promotion tests for microorganisms to include, for example, molds, yeast, and other potential known environmental contaminants found in the manufacturing facility and or raw materials. A second observation, so here now it was an FDA warning letter from October 2010. Your firm does not perform challenge tests to the sterility media with environmental isolates from the environmental monitoring program. Another FDA warning letter from May 2011, the firm was unable to provide scientific rationale for use of the selected organisms used in the disinfectant efficacy study. These organisms were not representative of organisms isolated from the facility, nor were they representative of the USP guidelines. Another one, the last one, aseptic processing areas are deficient regarding the system for cleaning and disinfecting the room and equipment to produce aseptic conditions. Additionally, the corporate studies did not evaluate isolates from the site. Moreover, recently, And you know that there was a new version of the European GMP and Annex 1 with a lot of information for the environmental monitoring. And this one really emphasizes the risk-based assessment with the quality risk management, the contamination control strategy, CCS, and the pharmaceutical quality system for management system. If we look at the section 10.9 for the culture media, in the oldest version, it was written, media used for environmental monitoring and APS should be tested for its growth promotion capability in accordance with a formal written program. Now, in the new version, it's written that media used for product testing should be quality control tested according to the related pharmacopoeia before use. Media used for environmental monitoring and APS should be tested for growth promotion before use, using a scientifically justified and designated group of reference microorganisms and including suitably representative local isolates. So now it's clearly written to add in-house isolate, environmental isolate in the growth promotion testing. But what is the risk? Of course, if you are manufacturing non-sterile products, the risk is to have objectionable macroorganism. But what is an objectionable macroorganism? Macroorganism will be objectionable if it may cause illness, injury, or harm with the use of the product. It may affect the product stability, but also the container closure system. It may have an impact on the analytical testing or directly on the active ingredient. It may also produce odors, flavors, or undesirable metabolites. In some cases, to have a potential to grow and exceed the specifications. And in the worst case, to have a high virulence and maybe resist to antimicrobial therapy. We know that the leading cause of regulatory observation and recalls for sterile and non-sterile pharmaceutical products are linked to the objectionable macroorganism. And we know that determining which organism should be considered objectionable is one of the biggest challenges facing non-sterile pharmaceutical and personal care laboratory. In case of sterile products, whole macroorganism will be considered objectionable. But for non-sterile products, a thorough risk assessment must be completed to ascertain the objectionable status of a particular microorganism. So which regulation to follow? In Europe, this is European Pharmacopoeia, Chapter 514, which is the microbiological quality of non-sterile pharmaceutical preparations and substances for pharmaceutical use. In the table 5141, you will find the acceptance criteria for microbiological quality of non-sterile dosage forms. Depending the route of administration, such as non-aqueous preparations for oral use, rectal use, oromucosal use, nasal use, cutaneous use, vaginal use, and so on. You have three different acceptance criteria. The first one is a TAMC, total aerobic microbial count. The TYMC, total yeast and molds count. And the last one, this is the specified macroorganism. Most of them are pathogens. And you can see the criteria is the absence of E. coli, Staphylococcus aureus, Pseudomonas aeruginosa, and so on. But we can say that this list is not necessarily exhaustive. And maybe it will be necessary to test other microorganisms depending the nature of the raw materials and the manufacturing process. On the picture on the right, on the diagram, you can see the different microorganisms which are objectionable and responsible for recalls. So in the top 5, we have first Burkholderia cepacia, then yeast and molds, Pseudomonas, the Enterobacteriaceae, and Bacillus cereus. And of course, the risk will depend on several factors. First, we saw the route of administration, how the isolate may be a pathogen, how it will affect the product, and in many cases, it may be an environmental isolate, so an isolate from the environment. We can also consider a hierarchy of the risk. So on the left, in the green part, this is the lower risk, of course, for the oral tablets and powder-filled capsules, liquid-filled capsules, the risk is lower. But on the right, in red, there is a higher risk for products such as aerosol, dry powder inhalants, nasal sprays, and otics. So to find objectionable microorganism will depend on the good isolation technique first, then good identification capabilities. The training and tracking is key, and how also to review the available data. If you find one objectionable microorganism, what you should do. So first, you have to isolate, then to grow as a pure culture, try to characterize this microorganism, and to determine the risk for the consumer and the product. To determine if an organism is objectionable is very challenging. We know that. And at Microbiologics, we try to give you some guidelines. And first, there are 5 fields to think about. The data. First, the data. How often has the microorganism been found? Does trending data show an increase in instances? The second point is the location. Where was the microorganism found and what is found in a critical zone, such as a clean room? The third point, the microorganism. What are the characteristics of the microorganism? What is the pathogenicity of the microorganism? The fourth is the product. What is the pH and water activity of the product? What nutrients are in the product? What is the product's method of application? And can the microorganism cause spoilage or degrade the drug or component? And the last one, of course, is the impact on the consumer. Is the consumer immunocompromised or otherwise at risk? And is the microorganism harmful for the intended consumer? That's why we wrote and we designed an objectionable organism decision tree to guide you to determine if the microorganism you find from the environment are objectionable. And you have key questions to ask you. So, for example, does company have requirements for absence of objectionable organism in the environment? Is this organism considered objectionable according to the SOP? Have this organism already contaminated the product in the past? And then to investigate, identify the strain, the in-house strain, and then maybe you will have to find a solution to maintain and to preserve this strain for further study, and also maybe to include in some QC testing, but it could be for investigation, cleaning, sanitization, the growth promotion testing, and any antimicrobial effectiveness testing. So this is very challenging to select the environmental isolate as objectionable microorganism. It's really based on the trends and frequency of isolation during environmental monitoring, how the strains represent different type of microorganism, and different incidents of product contamination. We can say that we consider that we can have 5 broad categories of environmental isolates. The gram-positive cocci, such as Micrococcus, Staphylococcus, Cocuria. The spore formers, such as Bacillus, Penibacillus. The gram-positive rod, such as Corynebacterium. The gram-negative rod, such as Rhiztonia, Stenotrophomonas, Sphingomonas. And yeast and molds, for example, Penicillium, Aspergillus, and Rhodotorula. Typically, the number of isolates implemented is between 2 and 4, but there is no clear rule. So it could be very interesting for you to add these environmental isolates when you realize we perform the growth promotion testing. It will be interesting to challenge your culture media to recover microbial flora in the clean room, to expand the test panel, not use only the compendial strains recommended in the pharmacopoeia, but to use minimally subculture strains with wild attributes conserved. And these environmental strain, in-house strain, are more representative of a local manufacturing environment or raw materials. It will enhance robustness of test method and match regulatory concerns. And we know this is very challenging for you to maintain and preserve these environmental isolates because it will ask you to have an excessive commitment of time and resources to culture collection, maintenance, and inoculum preparation. Maybe some strain will be difficult to grow, to preserve, enumerate for specific applications. And it's true that with a limited experience, and limited equipment available, it will be difficult for the preservation and standardization of the environmental isolates. So finally, we'll say you are looking for a quick and simple solution for the growth promotion testing, but only for any method validation, including minimally passage environmental isolates. And this is where Microbiologics may help you with our custom environmental isolate controls or custom solutions, because we can manufacture your strain in your format at your convenience. So it will be different strain from your environment. And now we have more than 5 decades of experience for identification, preservation, manufacturing of strain, especially environmental isolate, into a test-ready control format. So we're able to help you to reduce the cost, minimize the risk, and increase confidence in your microbiological quality control program. All our controls are made in a lyophilized format. They are shipped at ambient temperature and stored between 2 and 8 degrees, so no need for freezing at any point. And reordering your custom solution is really a breeze. All strains are preserved and stored at our facility, so they are readily available when needed. For the procedure, it's very, very simple. So if you identify any microorganism which is suspect and you want to have as a ready-to-test control, you can contact our distributor, so Biogenetics, so all the team. You will have a discussion. What is the type of microorganism, the type of culture media, the growth requirements, what is the frequency of use, the type of product you want. Is it a qualitative or quantitative product? Then we will provide a quotation, and if it's okay for you, you will send us your strain, and we will manufacture the product to meet your requirements. How to order? It's really easy also, because with Biogenetics, you have just to complete the custom solutions request form that you can find online on our website. So you have just to fill out different fields, and then we'll be able to manufacture your strain in any format. Really, it could be one of quick stick, easy AccuShot, but different formats are available. So do not hesitate if you have any questions to contact Biogenetics and myself, and we can have also to schedule a call with you all together to discuss your needs and to find the best solution for you. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, do not hesitate.
Okay. Thank you very much, Brice, for your presentation. Grazie, Brice, grazie Microbiologics per il tempo. Riprendendo le parole di Brice, direi che se avete qualsiasi tipo di domanda potete usare il chat box, perché mi hanno detto che non funziona il box per le domande e risposte. Quindi se avete qualsiasi tipo di domanda potete scriverli, altrimenti potete contattarci tramite mail ai contatti che già avete o che trovate all'interno del nostro sito. Io ricordo a tutti che la presentazione verrà comunque ricaricata sul canale YouTube di Biogenetics e inoltre a tutti i partecipanti verrà inviato il file della presentazione tradotta. Quindi se doveste avere anche una qualsiasi richiesta riguardante e vi serve la presentazione potete sempre farlo in seguito. Sì. Benissimo. Quindi per qualsiasi cosa sapete quindi come contattarci. E vorrei, prima di ringraziare tutti quanti, chiedervi di restare sintonizzati perché abbiamo intenzione di organizzare questo seminario per questo autunno che andrà un po' più nel dettaglio, perché chiaramente oggi è stata abbastanza marginale l'introduzione al documento. Quindi io vi rimanderei ai nostri contatti e ringrazierei tutti quanti caldamente. Grazie per il vostro tempo, grazie per esserci stati.